everybody knows that if the Dayglos are playing, they can go and get drunk and have fun.
They appealed to not only the punk rocker people, but to the people that really, truly wanted the most outrageous thing in rock and roll. And, you know, and they delivered that quite well.
They're up there with any band in North America of that era, and now.
Yeah, Dayglos, and I was totally into them first thing. They're wicked, and I love them.
Probably the most important thing about the Dayglos is their longevity. They've stuck with it, and they're fun.
These guys actually still play shows like this, and they're willing to come out and support the local scene.
You know, they're fun, stupid, with 2 O's, punk rock music.
Well, I met Cretin in St. Michael's University School back in grade 6. I think I met Spud about 2 years later when me and Cretin used to hang out on Yates and Douglas and be little crims.
Well, we all met by hanging around town here, just up the corner. Or we were part of the town group, the bad boys from Victoria, hanging out, getting into trouble, being rotten children. I played guitar. Bonehead wanted to play drums, it's always been, but he had never really done it before. Murray had broken his leg and had nothing better to do. He picked up the electric guitar, started playing, and turned out to be a really good guitar player, really fast.
The band, for the most part, remained intact for quite a long time. The direction, it was all mine. I wrote the songs. I was like a complete band Nazi. I just, look, it's my way or the bloody highway, guys, you know, and I wrote them. I coerced them into playing their instruments because I was never a socially adept type of guy. I've always been a little bit of a fringe sort of guy.
We'd done enough time on the street. We were just getting in lots of trouble, and basically our parents all decided that the best thing to do was do what we wanted, which is we'd more than happy to stay home on Friday and Saturday nights and, you know, plug in and make the noisiest noise in the basement than go down on the street and just, you know, get in trouble. So that's how it all started. It was just more keeping an eye on us, and maybe it was a little painful for them, but at least they knew where we were.
So we were talking one day, and it's like, well, what do we want to do? And it's like, we knew we wanted to do original music, and punk rock was just starting. It was 78, 79, something like that. Punk rock was starting to make a showing. We decided, well, that just fits right into our lifestyle. The music's right, you know, the lifestyle's right. Murray and I got another drummer. Bonehead did the right thing. He went to Vancouver and practiced with another garage band over there until he got better. And then, of course, when he found out we needed another drummer, he came right back.
Oh, shit. Forgot about this stupid thing. There it goes. I remember the band before the Dayglos, and I remember walking into the OAP hall during a show by them. And, of course, they were the proto-Dayglos. And there was this terrible noise. It was just like this all-encompassing racket. And it was this band on stage, and they were terrible. Attention, warning. Scotty, beam me up. Phase.
I'm a little rusty on when I saw them, but I'm pretty sure it was at the OAP hall, and I'm pretty sure I didn't really like them. I think they were the X-Men first. After they were the Sick Fucks, I think they became the X-Men, and then they said for copyright issues or something they had to change their name, which I'm sure was just, you know, a load of crap.
Well, once the Sick Fucks finally broke up, Bonehead heard the word of God, you might say, and came flying back from Vancouver as fast as he could. He was a better drummer by that time, and he said, come on, let's get together, let's do it. The name came together from, we had, as the Sick Fucks, we'd been given a case of Dayglo orange spray paint outside of the Smiling Buddha in Vancouver where we were playing at the time.
Yeah, this song was written for the Latchman family that used to run the fucking
shows really started because of the Morgenthaler incidents in the old days of with the bombs blowing up his clinics.
I just got together with Bonehead and said, look, we'll just get Spud on bass and we'll call ourselves the Dayglo, whatever the most frequently used word on the front page of the paper is.
It just turns out that, you know, there happened to be in that paper that morning about 7 or 8 things on the front page alone of abortion issues with Henry Morgenthaler being in town. We actually went to a Henry Morgenthaler rally.
So we just looked in the paper and everything was abortion this, abortion that.
So it just turns out that luck of the draw, we happen to be the Dayglo abortions.
We had music and we had noise, lost our minds when we were boys. No control over what we do, so fucking stupid our minds too. Jam attack.
Our first shows were, of course, a cacophony of noise. You know, we didn't know how to play well enough, but we still did it. We still had the attitude and, you know, the drive. So the first shows were pretty noisy, and, you know, we'd do about 4 or 5 songs, and then we'd fight the audience, and, you know, the show would end, and everyone would hate us. But we knew that it was causing a reaction, good or bad. It was a reaction.
Our first few shows in Victoria, holy Christ, our philosophy was, okay, we are the satire of punk. We're going to do to the audience what the audience wants to do to us. We're swearing at them, spitting at them, throwing shit at the audience, you know, and essentially trying to incite a riot, and successfully did just about every time we played in our first few shows there. And we weren't trying to win any popularity contest. We were just trying to stir shit up.
How do you think this case is going to come out? I mean, maybe it's too early to tell for you.
Well, I'm very hopeful.
Hey, Jake. Hey. So I'm going to Germany without confirmation, even though we've talked and talked and talked and talked. And I've checked with all the clubs. We are playing everywhere, but his email's down and so are both of his phones. So God help us when we get to Hamburg. He better be there. If not, it'll remind me a lot about the time in Detroit.
And it's funny, because we've never really been as popular here as we are in other places. Very quickly, we became quite popular in other towns. A couple of gigs. Once we got out of the womb out, yeah, we were like the alternative to all of the other straight punk bands that were, you know, they were out to change the world. We were out to change your night.
It was released in 81, but it was actually written in late 79 and recorded in 1980. That was Out of the Womb. Perfect title for a first album of the Dayglo Abortions. We had an offer to do a record with somebody who'd sold a house out of Vancouver, made a lot of money off of it, and decided, well, he needs a tax write-off. So, hey, if I send these guys into the studio, they put out an absolutely horrible album, it's all a write-off. He had all this money, he needed a tax shelter, so he did. And none of us expected anybody to even, you know, buy anything, and it just went nuts. Sent it back to Fringe Products, and they took all that we had, and we're just crying that we didn't press any more after that.
I couldn't stand their attitude for another day. They were trying to synchronize me, so I threw them away. My daddy was a bitch, screwed around with my dog and cat. My mommy satisfied and dead with a bag of urine.
Out of the Womb was never going to be re-released as far as we were concerned. We weren't really dealing with the person who we dealt with originally. So we decided that we would go into the studio, we'd take all the new songs, put them on one side, and take all the best songs off of Out of the Womb, put them on the other side, and we'd call it Fetus to Fetus.
Fetus to Fetus caused utter shock, disbelief, slack jaw, momentary bowel loss. Yeah, it really shocked the heck out of everybody. You know, even bands such as Black Flag and DOA and Subhumans, they were out there trying to change the world, and we were up there trying to screw it up. What does this button do? I need 4 to the airport. Well, yeah, if you want to call them that. 1 adult and 3 juvenile delinquents.
After Hiatus, it was about 3 years before Here Today, Guano, Tomorrow came out. By that time, Mike, Jack, and Nev had both joined the band, and so we had the power trio of guitars and good thick sound, and it took a little pressure off Cretin having to do it all himself.
They were here for today, but they'll be guano tomorrow. They were here for today, but they'll be guano tomorrow.
That's when we had 3 guitar players because basically Cretin had taken some time off, so I replaced him. And he decided to come back, and I always have a hard time moving people and shuffling them around. So we just stayed with 3 guitar players, which was a bit of a tuning mess.
They were here for today, but they'll be guano tomorrow. They were here.
So in this case, it happened because the detective found a record of, was it the Dayglo abortions?
Yeah, it was the Dayglo abortions, and from my understanding, the daughter of this police officer brought the record home, and that's when he saw it. And I mean, I feel that because of his position as a police officer, he was able to instigate the investigation.
It all started with a young girl in Nepean, Ontario, making an unauthorized bootleg copy of one of our copyrighted CDs. And her father was out of her bedroom or something and went in and just went nuts, went through the record collection, dug out our album and a couple of other albums, and trotted down to the local chief and said, look at what our kids are listening to. You know, his daughter was only 14 or something like this.
It was kind of like what happened with Two Live Crew in Florida. It was just ridiculous. Some idiot who wants to make their mark politically. Anybody with half a brain would understand that the lyrics to any Dayglo abortion song is a joke. They're like the Robert Crumb comics or something of punk rock music. You know, Murray is such a smart guy.
It helped raise their profile internationally, well, nationally in Canada for sure, and a little bit internationally. The only problem was that the Jello Biafra thing the previous year kind of stole their thunder.
The interesting thing about the Jello Biafra case was that Jello Biafra is a very good speaker. He defended himself very well, and I don't know if in this case the Dayglo abortions will be able to defend themselves, so at least from how I recollect when I met them.
In terms of the band themselves?
Yeah.
You haven't spoken to them
Well,
at this point.
I have years ago, and that maybe my recollection of them, because I still live in Vancouver, is not what is real
Well,
today.
I think your recollection is probably true, although I would say that the bulk of that it's the image. I mean, it was the image that they were attempting to promote, mainly I think because that was the image that people wanted to have of them, so they merely followed along with it.
Ben Hoffman, I don't think really had the band's best interest at heart. He liked money. He liked the fact that he was selling lots of records, and that he pretty much had us believing that all the money was going into the court case, where we found out years later that it was going into his pocket, and that even a lot of the court bills never were paid.
How many albums do the Dayglo abortions sell? There's 2 records.
2 records. And they sell some. I can't say how many. Not enough. Not enough to pay the legal bills, that's for sure.
Oh, they just more or less tore up the bloody books right there and said, every cent you guys have ever made is now gone. You know, I mean, they really did burn us. They burned us for a lot of money. I'll never find out how much.
The court case was another one of these instances where a bunch of people meant well, but because they went so ham-fisted, I mean, it was, you know, the daughter of a police officer brings home what he thinks is an offensive record, and they sort of go on this witch hunt for these guys. Where Not once during the court proceeding did anybody mention the word satire, which I thought was just ridiculous.
I mean, they were attacking us in the wrong way. We weren't pornographic. You know, maybe we were definitely the enemy of the state. No, they should have charged us with treason rather than pornography. And one night he said, look, buddy, it's either you or me. And I said, fucking fine. You've always known the way I am. There's the goddamn door, you know?
If nothing else, I think the Dayglo's legacy to the world will be the fact that they helped define these ridiculous laws, and that the powers that be, realize that you can be satirical, and if it's a little bit offensive to some people, it's still satire. It's not like we're going out of our way to destroy the minds of your children with this terrible music, which, I mean, it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure this out, but now there is actually a legal precedent to this. So I think that'll be their lasting contribution myself. A lot of fun music. They're a fun band, and they're a great band live.
I did a couple, I don't know, maybe a few lame shows, and it just started rubbing me the wrong way. I thought, man, I've been doing this for about 15 years or something. I mean, maybe I should give it a break one night in Van. It was actually, we were playing with Flipper in Van, and I just thought, this is just not really doing it for me anymore, eh? So I left more or less that night. And when I said I quit, Mike immediately quit as well. So they were now without a guitar player and singer. And they resurrected the band and got a couple of guys from Sixth Sense in there, Jimbo on vocals and Hung on guitar. And they, and I mean, in the face of a lot of criticism, Bonehead kept the band going. It was definitely a different band. I went and saw them play live, and they were more Sixth Sense than they were the Dayglos. It was like watching another band play a lot of Dayglo covers, and I enjoyed it myself. I thought they were a rockin' band. They weren't the Dayglos. They were a different, very different thing, and they took a lot of flack from the die-hard Dayglo fans, but I don't think it was really all deserved. They were a good rockin' band and stuff.
When Cretin was on a hiatus for a little while, we put out a couple albums which were Little Man in the Canoe and Corporate Horrors. They were without Murray. He didn't want to do it anymore. He thought that he wanted to play with better musicians, which I can understand. You know, we were pretty burned out by that time, but, you know, we just didn't want to give it up. We wanted to keep doing it. We wanted to keep recording. So we recorded those albums. We had two new members, which were Squid and Jimbo.
Bonehead got me to come out and practice, right, to audition or whatever, but no one else wanted to fill Cretin's shoes while he was gone, and I figured, well, man, yeah, I'll go, get paid for running around like a retard. They're big shoes to fill, and it took some time, and I'm glad that now that we can do that stuff together, like trading books on stuff on the stage. It's pretty fun.
Mama, what's up, man? She was the head of a 1920 kid. When I was glad, she got the nail son, and even for scientific research. Can you believe that?
When I was away from the band, Spud sort of became the band leader and Bonehead was the business leader. And Spud, it really got down to a contest of wills, really, you know. When I got back to the band, it's back to, look, this is the way I'm doing things. You guys will play like this or you can fucking piss off, you know. And Spud just wasn't taking that. He played 2 or 3 shows when I was back in the band, and then one night he said, look, buddy, it's either you or me. And I said, fucking fine. You've always known the way I am. There's the goddamn door, you know? And he got up and walked, and I have not fucking talked to the guy since.
I've always been a fan, so there'd be nothing I'd like more than to see Spud, the original bass player, back up there. But in the meantime, you know, I'm happy to help keep it going, you know.
We talked about it and decided, you know, I'd go my own way and they'd continue on, which they should do. And so I've just been working, being a house body and jamming with some people. I mean, I can't give up music. There's just no way. Music's been there too long.
Oh my God, I gotta get rid of this before I go to Europe.
Oh, where are you going?
Everywhere.
Oh, wow.
To the good part, the west.
I love that store. I was just in there the other day. It's that.
Oh, Nick's?
Yeah.
That's my store.
Really? Okay, that's like I was saying, so the drummer for the Dayglo abortions?
Wow. Check it out. You can't go anywhere. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of prep, and but I put it on myself to do that. And you know, we've already been showing if we let other people take care or run our affairs, they run them to a ground. So when it's a collective like it is now, where Murray does what he has to do, Jimmy and Willie do what they got to do, I do the other part, the business part of it, it works. It's real, it's alive, it's happening, and you know, it's just the way it is. I have a hard time being able to, you know, say to anybody what we're all about, but if you just look at our, you know, track record, you can see it, it's there. Adios, or as they say, Auf Wiedersehen.
We'll be talking about the Dayglos in 20 years, I'll tell you that. The Dayglos have an international reputation as well as just a local one.
See you later, everybody.
I make enough money at this or that. I'm not a materialist kind of guy. I'm happy to make enough to survive. I live in a beautiful place, and I'm in about the best place and the best time in human existence possibly. I can't think of anywhere else. Like, where would you rather be, kid? You don't like it here? How about France in the 1400s? You're burning at a stake or something and dying in the plague. No, this is the Garden of Bloody Eden here.